In this demo, I'm gonna be explaining how the functionality for user profiles work in my application. So basically, how a user can basically receive all profiles on the front end by searching for specific usernames, by searching for specific users according to location, according to the interests, according to whether they are mentor or learner, how to get all the profiles as well by searching them, how to update your own profile, so edit your own profile, how to upload profile pictures, and so on. So in my index.js, firstly, in order to have that functionality working for my user profiles, I've imported user routes from my user routes.js. Then here on my mounting API endpoint, I have here API users over here for my URL endpoint to be mounted on this here. Then I have my user.js, which contains my model for users. So I use a user schema to create the structure of the data for a specific user profile. So as you can see, it has all these fields, and all these fields are the details of the specific user. So that's my user model. Then I have my user routes. So this router defines endpoints for reading and updating user profiles, uploading profile picture, fetching lists of users such as all the profiles, or fetching all the mentors on the front end, and fetching all the learners as well. So I import Express for routing. I've imported all these controllers which are gonna handle the process or the functionality of getting a profile, updating a profile, getting all profiles by ID, getting the mentors and getting the learner profiles as well. I have my verified token that I imported, which verifies the token of the logged in user before they can perform specific functionalities on the application. I've imported this upload function, which helps with uploading a specific user profile picture, and I've imported my model as well, user model. So firstly, over here I have a GET request to this profile endpoint, which calls the verify token to verify the token of the user logged in, and then it calls the GET profile controller in order to handle the process of getting your own profile on the application. Then a put request for editing a profile, so to edit your own profile, and that calls my update profile controller. Here I have basically a put request being made to this profile /upload endpoint, which is basically gonna help with uploading your own profile picture basically. So that works with a put request, and it calls the verify token, and this functionality runs where basically it's gonna debug incoming requests. Then here it's just gonna check if the requested file is not there, then it's just gonna show this message that no file is uploaded. But if it is, then what gets saved to the image path variable is the profile picture that is uploaded. And then after that, find by ID and update is gonna update that user's profile when you upload the profile picture, and save that to this updated user variable. If the user is not updated, it shows the user not found. But if the user is updated, it returns the updated version of the user's profile in JSON format, but in the front end you'll see it as it is. Then over here I have a GET request being made to this profiles endpoint, which calls the get all profiles method, which is gonna just receive all the profiles in the application. Then a GET request that is made to the profiles /ID endpoint, which gets one specific profile by its ID. So if I'm searching for one specific user, let's say I search for John, then it's just going to retrieve that specific profile for John, basically. Then I have a GET request being made to this mentor's endpoint. This is going to receive all the mentor profiles. Then here's a GET request to the learner's endpoint, which is going to help get all the learner profiles. That's my user routes, which basically call all the controllers that handle the functionality to basically make requests to the endpoints and receive those profiles and update specific profiles. So let's have a look at the user controller that I created. So this file is going to implement endpoints to get the current user's profile, to list or search or paginate users, to get a profile by its ID, and to update authenticated user profiles. Firstly, I have this get profiles controller. This is basically handling the functionality to get your own profile. If you want to see the details of your own profile. So it uses find by ID method. So here I use find by ID method to find my profile by my ID. And I use the user model for that to interact with the database and save that user profile to the user variable. And it returns that user profile as a JSON format. Then here I have my get all profiles method, which is going to handle the functionality to get all the profiles on the application when we search for all the profiles. So here's just a row filter, which is going to filter all the profiles according to the role that the user has, whether a mentor or learner. This is helping with the name search. So if I'm searching for a specific name on the profile, it gives me back users that have that specific name or last name. This is basically searching for users by their interest. So if I want users that have a specific interest, let's say the interest of business, it gets all the users that have that same interest, which is business. Same thing works with location as well. Then I've incorporated the functionality of pagination. This is basically structuring my front end where user profiles are on specific pages. So let's say I have 200 profiles on my application. So 200 users have signed up on the application. So when I retrieve all the profiles on the application, what happens is not all the profiles will be on one page. They'll be structured on each page, and the limit of profiles on a page is 12 profiles. I use count documents method to count all the documents in the application. Save that to the total, to this variable total, and using this find method, I find all users and save them to this users variable according to the filter that is made, such as, for instance, searching for profiles with the same interest or the same location. Upon doing that, it returns a JSON formatted structure of all the profiles that I'm basically retrieving. So that's basically how the get all profiles controller works. Then I have my get profile by ID controller. This is gonna basically find a specific profile by its ID. So if I want to search for a specific person, this controller handles that request and functionality. So find by ID method is gonna find one user using the user model and save that to the user variable. And if not a user, then it returns user not found. But if the user is found, it returns a JSON formatted data of that user profile. Then update profile is just gonna handle the functionality of editing your own profile. So firstly, you use find by ID and update to find your profile using the user model and save that to the updated user over there. So this is gonna basically update the profile itself, essentially. And if not an updated user, it shows user not found. But if that updated user is found, so after user updates their profile and that updated user is found, it basically returns as a response a JSON format of the user's profile that is now updated. Then I have my get all mentors controller, which is going to handle the functionality and the request of getting all profiles for mentors only. So it's going to get all the mentors essentially. And how that works is we use a filter. It's going to filter out according to the specific role mentor. So it's going to receive all the profiles that have the role mentor. While doing that, I can search for all mentors that have one specific interest. So let's say I want to search for mentors that have the interest of coding. This functionality handles that. This if statement basically handles that. It's going to filter out according to interest. Or I can do the same for location. This field subject, goals. So if I want mentors with one specific goal, I can receive all the mentors with that one goal. I can do the same with name as well. Then I've also implemented pagination over here for that process. Then get all learners controller that I have here works the same as my get all mentors. Only difference is now basically retrieving profiles that have the role learner. And that's basically how the user controller works. So right now I've covered the back end code that handles the functionality for user profiles. Now let's look at how the front end looks. So how the React code looks for that. So here I have a component, the profile. So this component is basically gonna show the profile of a specific user. So when I search for a specific user, right, it brings back this structured data over here in this return. So let's have a look at it. Firstly, here it's within a profile container. Then here I have the user's profile picture, basically. Then I have a heading which shows the first name and last name and the role of the user, basically whether they are a mentor or a learner. Then here in this div, it shows the profile details of the user, the status, whether they are matched with a learner or not, or matched with a mentor or not, shows the email of the user, the location. Here it shows the interests of the learner or the mentor, shows the experience and the goals as well. As you can see here, this is where it shows those details. So user interests, user experience, user goals. Then I have in this div the actions that can be performed on the user's profile. So you can basically click a message button or send match request button to a specific user. So basically here, if I wanna message a user, right, I can click this message button on their profile. If I want to send a match request, let's say I'm a learner and I want to send a match request to a specific mentor, and this is their profile, I can click this send match request button. So this message over here, message button, goes hand in hand with the message or the chat system functionality, which I'll discuss in another demo, as well as the match request functionality I'll discuss in another demo as well. But just to see how the button works is when I click this message button, on click is triggered, handle message click method runs, and all it's going to do is it's going to navigate to the chat system, which shows the chat page where I'm going to chat with a specific user that I want to message. Then here is just to send a match request to a specific user because I'm on their profile, and handle request click handles that, which is basically here, and it just sends a post request to this endpoint, forwarding a match request to a specific user. That's why we attached the user ID over here. So that's basically how that works. And here I have my user effect hook. Within it is when it runs, fetch profile method runs. Fetch profile method is called, and that's over here. What fetch profile method does is it's just gonna send a get request to the user's profile and whatever the ID is, so to this endpoint, and that's gonna allow us to fetch a specific profile of another user. And then when that happens, set user method changes the state of data of this user variable to whatever profile we have retrieved. So it's gonna store whatever profile we have basically retrieved as res.data. So that's basically how this component works. Then I have my profile list component. This is basically just gonna help with getting or retrieving all profiles on my front end. So let's see how that looks. So within this return, basically I firstly have this profile container, and within it I have this heading which shows all profiles, meaning that it's gonna basically show all the profiles I retrieve. And this is basically for searching a user, and it shows the results for the specific profiles that I've searched. And here I have search filters basically. So how my search filters work is I have this first input, which is allowing me to search for a user by their first name, and in value I use filters.firstname to do that. This here allows me to search for users by their last name, searching users by the interest, searching users by the location. So if I'm searching a user by the last name, let's say I say the last name is Vuma, it's gonna basically give me all profiles or all users that have the last name Vuma, and it'll show a list of all those profiles. If I don't use any of these search filters and I click all profiles, it's just gonna retrieve every single profile on my application. That's how that works. And yeah, here I'm filtering search by the specific role of the user, whether they are a mentor or a learner. Here I can search for all the profiles like I mentioned now. I can search for all people that are mentors and all people that are learners. And when I use this filter functionality, I click search, and it retrieves all those profiles according to the filter that I made. So when I click search, handle search runs, or it's called, and handle search is gonna call this fetch profiles method. Fetch profiles method passes filters as an argument there. So when fetch profiles method is called, it runs, and what it's gonna do is it's just gonna fetch the profiles according to my filter. And firstly, it's set loading is gonna change the state of data for this variable, so that helps with loading when I search the profile. Set profiles is a method that runs, and it's gonna change the state of data for this profiles variable, which is gonna store all the profiles that I've searched for into this array. And yeah, that's basically how this profile list component works. It's just gonna render all the profiles on my application based off specific filters that I've made. Then I have profile detail component. This component is basically gonna show the details of a specific user's profile, essentially. So when I click into the user's profile, it's gonna show the details of the specific details of that user. So firstly here it shows the user's profile, shows the user's first name and last name, the status of the user, whether they're matched or unmatched, the email, location, role, as well as the interests of the user, and the bio of the user. In this user effect, what happens is fetch profile method is called, which runs over here, and it's just gonna get all the user profile. It's gonna send a get request to this user profiles endpoint to get profiles by their ID. So to get that specific profile by its ID, and show the user's profiles details. And how that works is this set profile method within here changes the state of data for this profile variable within this hook, and what it adds to the data basically is all that specific profile that was searched for. That's how my profile detail component works. And here I have this profile component. So this component is allowing a user to basically to find their own or to click on their own profile and see the details for their own profile basically. So if you want to view your own profile, this component is basically what renders that data. So firstly, on your own profile, what you'll see is your profile picture, your first name and last name, your role, your email. So you'll see your profile details, such as your email, your location, the interests, the bio, as well as the goals. Now, because you have your own profile, what you can do is actually edit your own profile. You can't edit another person's profile, only yours. So I've placed this edit profile button over here in this component. Now edit profile button, when it's clicked, it's gonna take me to my edit profile page. But firstly, what it does is this on click event listener is triggered. Set editing method runs. Where set editing method is basically declared is here. That is basically in my handle save over here. So when I click that edit profile page, it changes the state of data of editing, and whatever data is stored over here. Oh well, this boolean changes to true, right? And what happens is it means that the editing process is set to true, and now I'm on the editing page. Let's see. So then basically I have here the edit profile page, which is gonna help with editing my profile. So I have different inputs here. The input for my profile picture, the input for my text first name, for the last name, location, bio, the goals as well. And I can basically edit any of these. I can edit the profile by inputting any of these values. And when I do that, I click the save button and the profile gets saved with the newly edited or updated details of my profile. Or I can click cancel if I no longer want to edit the profile. So for instance, what happens is if I change the bio, this on change event listener runs and handle change method runs, and that is basically gonna change the state of data for my form to whatever value I input for my bio. And set form data changes the state of data in the form data and saves it to this object. So yeah, then when I'm done editing my profile, I can click the save button and handle save runs. That's gonna handle the functionality of saving the newly updated profile. So when this runs, basically I save that data to data. Then here just appending the image if it's selected, which is the profile picture. This is just gonna append all the other fields that are edited if they are edited. Then that put request is made to this endpoint over here. So it's a put request made to the back end to edit the profile. Then set profile runs, set editing runs as well. To change the state of data for basically the profile variable. And that's basically how my profile page works, or profile component works essentially. So I've basically covered the back end functionality for user profiles, as well as the front end functionality and rendering process for the user profiles. So let's see how it actually works in the front end. So basically I have here this me button. If I click this, what happens is I basically retrieve my own profile. Or I can go to dashboard page and I click view profile, and then I end up on my own profile card here. I can go in and edit my own profile like I was showing now, and I can choose a profile picture for my profile. And let's say I choose this profile picture. I can edit the bio, and click save. What happens is the profile picture gets edited. So now it returns a newly updated version of my profile, with the profile picture and the bio as well. I can click all profiles and it retrieves all the profiles that are signed up on the application. So right now there's just 2 profiles. I can basically search for a specific user's profile by their name. So if I search this name, Mikateko, and click search, it will just retrieve that specific profile, because it filters out everything else except the name Mikateko. I can basically search for all the profiles and it retrieves all the profiles. So you can see both profiles here. You can search for a profile by location. When I click Centurion, it's gonna retrieve all the profiles by the location. I can search for profiles based off whether they are learners or mentors. So here, if I click mentor, then it's gonna bring back all the mentors, which is this one mentor here. That's how you basically receive all the profiles and search for profiles by their specific names, last names, interests, location, and so on. What I can also do is basically when I search for a profile, I can go in that specific profile, and as you can see here, if I click the message button, I end up on the chat system and I can chat with that person. So basically, in my database, you can also see all the profiles that are basically like saved. That are basically saved when a user has registered on the profile, or they registered their profiles on the application. So let's see that all that data is in the database. So here you can see the different users that are in the application that have registered. So the user profiles over here. So that's basically how the user profile functionality works in my application.